Countdown right now. Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I hope that every one of y'all had a great holiday, and I hope that 2023 is going to be a better year for all of us. We can all hope that, I guess. We can hope. And I've been a little bit busier than usual. A lot of stuff going on right now, and so if you notice, I have not been streaming that often. That would explain it. I'm hoping that that's going to change and going back to streaming. I'm going to try to go back to streaming every other day, the way I have been doing. But as I said, it's just been kind of hectic for the last couple of weeks. So that explains that. So you should be seeing a little bit more of me, whether you like it or not. So anyhow, I hope everybody did well and had met with your family and friends and loved ones and had good quality time and had good times and all of that. I ate well. I can say that much. And I lost 46 pounds since March. So in that regard, I am a little bit, I got to get back to my routine, my good habit routine, which is going to start happening now. I knew I was going to make exceptions, and that's okay. It's okay. But I got to get back to my routines, or that 46 pounds I've lost since the beginning of this year will creep back up in a heartbeat. And once it creeps back up, it's hard as hell to take it down. So there is also that. So I will say right now, just hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and all should be well. And also follow and subscribe and follow KRTD Media on all appropriate platforms, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Rokfin, all the other platforms, which I'm going to try to work on joining platform Rokfin in 2023 at some point. So there is that. But at any rate, let's talk about something that I kind of neglected talking about. I talked a little bit about it on Twitter, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know what I'm going to talk about. You've heard me talk about it, and that is the anti-strike vote that AOC voted on. Well, you know what I mean. I meant that basically AOC did something that would make Ronald Reagan's strike-breaking vote, union-busting vote in 1981 against the air traffic controllers and the mining strike, the miners, the miners unions busting efforts of Margaret Thatcher in the 1980s jealous. And how shameful and how absolutely horrible it is for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is supposed to be, she is supposed to be a progressive fighter for the working class. She is supposed to be this sort of thing. And I'm going to tell you, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, from the early days when she came into the scene, just like, I'm going to say probably just like most of y'all in my audience, I would think probably like maybe 95% of my audience, and maybe there are some people in my audience that still has a forgiving attitude toward her. And in a way, maybe I can understand that. But there's just certain things I can't forgive. And I was supportive of her pretty much from the time she got elected till a bad taste came into my mouth around the time of Force to Vote, almost 2 years ago. They had leverage with Force to Vote. And y'all hear me talk about it a whole lot, Force to Vote. And it makes me angry that they did not do Force to Vote. It connects to what I got to say here. But they did not do Force to Vote because, so I guess because they defeated Trump and they wanted to go and play nice with the Democrats and figured they would just play along to get along. And if they go and brown nose Biden and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and just suck up to them and go pretty please to Biden and Schumer and Pelosi, that they would acquiesce. That's stupidity. That's absolute stupidity. I mean, I never expected the squad or Bernie to go and create a workers' utopia. Okay, I never expected this sort of thing. They have managed to radicalize me even further left with their selling out, and I am still in my heart of hearts in many ways a reformist. But what the hell's good is reforming if you're not even going to try to fucking reform? That's the big question right there. And that's what's happened with AOC, and that's what happened with the squad and the friends of the squad in Congress. It's happened with Bernie. It's happened, across the country with this movement here. It's happened with some of the bigger movers and shakers on independent media, that they go and try to play along to get along. They'll say just enough to keep those who are independently inclined all happy and everything. And it's not like I have the highest of standards. I know that we're not going to get everything we want. I know this sort of thing because I know how America works. America's right-wing Overton window is the furthest right in the Western world. I mean, you can't get more right-wing in the Western world. And I know it's monumental task to try to take down the right-wing Overton window and to shift it further left. And what I mean by those who don't quite understand what I mean by right-wing Overton window in this country, the right-wing Overton window is so far to the right that the right-wing Overton window in some other countries is mildly to the left of our Democrats here in the United States. For example, the average conservative MP in Great Britain is to the left of the average Democrat. The average Tory in the UK is to the left of Nancy Pelosi, for example. That's unacceptable for the Democratic Party. That's the point I'm trying to make. That is the point I'm trying to make. And so what I'm going to get to what I need to have said, right, and done in just a moment. I just want to state this here. The rail workers, okay? You got the rail workers. And what are they asking for? Predominantly, what they're asking for, their big concern is paid leave, like a sick leave. And how unreasonable it is to work in this line of work, to work for the railroads, a highly skilled, highly pressured work, dealing with safety, dealing with products, dealing with shit that you need to transport from point A to point B in this country. And America's got a cultural love for the railroads. And in some ways, this is one worker strike or worker concern when it comes to labor issues that I even think that even people who are not particularly keen on unions might have had some sympathy for. This was an easy vote for the squad. This was an easy vote for them to vote against breaking a strike and ordering them to go back to work. AOC, I mentioned AOC because she is the public face of the squad. She is the spokesperson. She is the go-to. When you think of the squad, you think of AOC first. I know of all the other squad members, but AOC is the first person that pops in your mind when you think of the squad. And what has she accomplished? Nothing. Nothing. She accomplished nothing. She other than rhetoric. That's what she's accomplished. I mean, and it breaks my damn heart to say this. It breaks my damn heart because, as I said, I believed in her, and even at this point, she has a likable persona. And maybe I'm objectifying a little bit and all that, but she's also a very lovely looking woman. She's very attractive. And so, yeah, I mean, so I let things like that kind of, I was willing to overlook things like that. But here's the thing. I'm a socialist first. And I want this country to move forward. And it's going to take socialist measures to make things go forward. That means we need health care for every American in this country. That means we need to grow the unions so we can have a revitalized middle class. What does AOC do? She did nothing to grow the unions. She did nothing in terms of trying to raise the minimum wage. She did nothing to try to make healthcare more available to people at as close to being free as possible, at least through some kind of a public option. Which a public option or lowering Medicare eligibility down to 60 or 55 don't go far enough. But she didn't even do that. She didn't even do that. So, with this rail strike breaking vote, Kshama Sawant, who is the city councilwoman in in Seattle, Washington State, from Socialist Alternative, she got elected about a decade ago, and she's a real fighter. And we've had socialists elected across the country before in city council that were openly socialists. In the 1980s and 1990s, we had Karen Cubby from the Socialist Party USA that was a city councilwoman in Iowa City. So, for example, and I met her about 20 years ago. I met her a couple of times. She's a good lady, and I wish her well these days. But getting back to what I was saying, Kshama Sawant is really pissed with what AOC's done. Kshama Sawant has this in common with AOC. She's a member of Democratic Socialists of America, DSA. And she's calling for the expulsion of AOC and the other squad members that voted against the rail workers. And you know what? If I was still a DSA member, as much as there are decent people in DSA, there are people in DSA that they do very good work. But this would have been enough for me to resign from DSA had I still been a member of DSA. And so my point is basically it's this. What happened with AOC is unforgivable. And Kshama Sawant is correct. she's profoundly correct for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play from Bad Faith with Brianna Joy Gray. This video. Hold on a second here. This video from Bad Faith with Ryan Grimm, and I'm going to comment on it, and it relates to the situation with regard to the rail workers and people who are basically holding water for the fraud squad, who are basically frauds themselves. I'm talking about no other than Ryan Grimm job. So hold on here. We will get to the meat and potatoes momentarily. Let me do this here, and we will get started, and I will comment further. All right, let's get started. Take it away.
And the only way to address this is to unite the working class on a working class program. Well, look,
Kshama Sawant's correct. We need a working class program. We need a working class party in this country to the left of the Democrats. I have always argued that that we don't need Republicans and we don't need Democrats, really. I understand why people go into the Democratic Party to try to change it from within. I still understand it to some degree, but it doesn't work. I'm 53 years old, and I have historically seen the many times that the left has tried to restructure the Democratic Party from within. And I saw the latest reiteration of it with the Bernie Sanders movement. And it was a sincere movement. They meant well. They were trying to do it. It just doesn't work. We need a Labor Party. I'm going to repeat this again so anybody who's doubtful. We need a Labor Party. We need a Labor Party. We need something like the New Democratic Party of Canada. We need something like the British Labour Party under Jeremy Corbyn, not under Keir Starmer currently, not under Tony Blair from back in the 1990s and during the Bush-Cheney years. We don't need we don't need Labour under that leadership, but we need something like a Labour Party when Jeremy Corbyn was the leader, or we need something like the Labour Party in the UK when at least Harold Wilson and Clement Attlee were running the party, when there were actual socialism being delivered to the British people. We need that kind those kind of policies. We need a Labor Party. We need a Labor Party like the Social Democratic Party from decades ago that did radical reform in places like Sweden, or the Socialist Party in places like Portugal that played a big role. A lot of them were in the military that peacefully overthrew the government of Portugal in 1974 and created and replaced fascism nonviolently with democracy in just one day, called the Carnation Revolution. This is the sort of good things that happens when you have a real democratic, small d, democratic left movement that comes in and initiate monumental positive change to society. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going to let them continue.
I'm so glad that we're now being joined by Ryan Grimm as well to offer perhaps a different perspective here. Welcome, Washington Bureau Chief at The Intercept, of course, many-time Bad Faith podcast guest. Ryan, you caught the tail end of what we were saying there. Obviously, Kshama and I are of the mind that what happened with the squad in the vote for the tentative agreement amounts to a betrayal. I seen you take a different position on Twitter, at least, saying that there basically was a strategic choice that was backed by at least some members of some unions, perhaps union leadership, who knows, that actually wanted the squad to go ahead and take this vote to have a shot at the sick leave bill passing. I am of the mind, have always been of the mind, and we were talking about this kind of offline while all these votes were being counted, but there was a 0% chance that this was going to happen. It seemed like you were somewhat more credulous. Tell me why you don't see this as these votes as a betrayal by progressives of their fundamental duty not to vote for a strike-breaking bill.
And so more is coming out about how this kind of strategy came together. And there's actually a bonus episode that I was listening to earlier today of Chapo Trap House, where Will interviews Jonah Furman and two railroad workers. And one of the railroad workers turned out to be one of the workers that I've been talking to throughout this.
Right?
I've talked to him in the past, but I was talking about Devin Mance, who was the other guest on. So Devin Mance is he talked about, so he's with the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way employees, which is the BMWD, which is one of the ones that rejected the contract. And one of the reasons they rejected the contract is because there's an organized, and I just reached out for the actual name of it, called the BMWD Rank and File United. It's a caucus which is not part of leadership, that is organized within the BMWD to push the union to be more militant. And because of that organizing, that's a significant reason. I would say it's the reason why they were able to reject that contract, because they only rejected it with like a 51% vote. So, with a 51% win, everybody gets credit. So they have like 1.3 thousand members or something like that, but that they've organized over the last year or so to try to push the union to be stronger, to push their union leadership to be stronger. So they rejected. They then, this is what came out of Jonah, like connected that rank and file caucus with Jamal Bowman's office. It was like, look, if the leadership's not going to fight for us, if we're just going down, let's go down swinging. Let's push for 7 sick days on the floor.
Just listen to him do a talking line point like he's really a concerned, good faith actor. Really, Ryan Grimjob is so full of shit. But anyway,
and once that started getting momentum, then you started seeing the kind of the Twitter accounts of the unions themselves saying that they also support this. Because obviously, union leadership, if the choice is between 0 sick days or 7 sick days, they're going to say we want the 7 sick days. So probably it's just an interesting moment, because by fighting, they kind of forced then everybody else to come with them, because they didn't want to be embarrassed and not be part of the fight. So it actually was rank and file organized workers who pushed this strategy. So to then turn around and say, how dare you? You should be kicked out of the DSA for listening to the rank and file united. Like, what do we want? So these workers organize themselves.
What do we want? We want those workers, those road workers, to get 7 sick leave days. That's what we want. In fact, that's not enough, Ryan Grimjob. We want all American workers in this country to get sick leave. We need to have universal sick leave. Now, that's the right thing to do. It is. I mean, look at the company you're talking with right now. You three speak the same language. You know the ideology. You might even believe in these things. But I do believe you're bought and paid for too. Just like Tony Blair and company in the UK back in years ago. And people like Gerhard Schroeder in Germany. People like Bob Ray in Canada. You have become those people. So has AOC. So has the other members of the squad.
Inside their union to push their union to be more militant. Their union leadership goes with the Biden strategy, which completely fails. So the workers at the last minute try to salvage something out of it, and they go to their allies in DSA, actually, because there's DSA members in Bowman's office. That's how they get connected to Bowman's office. And then Bowman's like, yeah, all right, let's go for it. Let's fight. Let's not go down like the union leadership did. And instead of being like, Biden sucks, how could Biden have done this? Like, Biden had all the cards to play. And instead of doing that, instead of playing those cards, he sold the workers out. Instead of that, it's like kick Jamal Bowman out of the DSA. It's like, what? Okay, which is fine. I have no opinion on whether or not you should start a third party, whether or not Bowman should be kicked out of the DSA.
Yes, you do. You want to sheep herd everybody into the Democratic Party to become little foot soldiers, and you may want a Bernie Sanders or an Elizabeth Warren to be in the leadership, but you will settle for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because Republicans bad. Which Republicans are bad. Republicans are bad. But a lot of Democrats are not any better.
I just feel like that's something so important. Because it's not okay. My own opinion, yes, that's silly. That's my own opinion, but it's not my role to have an opinion on it, is what I mean. Yeah.
But that's very dishonest because you have no shortage of opinions. You are not shy of giving opinions.
Okay, I think it's silly. I will admit it.
You've also defended Democrats, but when it comes to actually fighting for the interests of workers, then you say you don't have an opinion. But that's okay.
They were literally the workers. They're literally the workers.
Let me ask you this, Ryan. Go ahead, Kshama. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. It's fine. Well, what John was saying earlier was, and you said this yourself, Ryan, that there is one union, and in fact, a subset of this union that's been fighting for it to be more radical. A subset that represents, you said, about 1,200, 1,500 rail workers out of over 100,000 rail workers that exist.
I think there's like 30,000 in the BMW.
Okay, yeah. That push for the strategy with Jamal Bowman in particular. And a point that Kshama was making before you logged on was that there are a ton, many more rank and file that are not being represented by these decisions. Maybe they are for it, maybe they are for against it. And a point that you've made to me as we've been having some of these sideline conversations is how difficult it is to poll people in the short term as these kinds of things are happening. But what we know for a fact is that the unions as a whole, 4 out of the 12 unions representing a majority of the total number of rail workers, 55% if I'm recalling correctly, voted down the very TA that ultimately got passed. And if it is the case, which of course it is, that the sick leave was going to be coupled with the TA regardless of if the progressives voted for it, because that was the only way it could get out of the House, per Pramila Jayapal's apparently genius wrangling, then what purpose does it serve strategically one way or another for squad members to be voting for that TA and sick leave package? The sick leave was getting to the Senate regardless of what squad members did, which is potentially why at least one squad member, Rashida Tlaib, did not vote for it.
Yeah.
And good for Rashida Tlaib. And Rashida Tlaib, if DSA had any integrity, they'd kick everybody from the squad out of DSA, with the exception of Rashida Tlaib at this point. Breaking a strike vote is an unforgivable act. It should be. And, any DSA member who think I'm full of shit, I don't know what to say about them.
Yeah, that was like a better vote for the people who were angry about the vote on the TA. So some of the squad members could have done that if they want. Obviously, Bowman couldn't because he's the one that is pushing the strategy. These workers in this independent organized caucus plus the other unions are asking them to vote yes, yes. Should they have voted no, yes? If they could still get everything through and do the no, yes, and still get the 7-day sick day and then do a performative show, I'm against this thing, I'm against this without the sick days. Sure, if they can try to figure that out, sure.
But Ryan,
find a single worker who puts that in the top 20.
But we know this already. We know. I'm sorry. Am I completely going crazy? We know that the TA and the whole point of Pramila Jayapal's wrangling was that the TA and the sick days could not leave the House independently. They were going to leave together, and they had to vote for the TA. This is the progressives' whole point, is that they had to vote for the TA anyway, so I might as well have voted for the sick days. But you can flip that. You can say they had to vote for the sick days anyway, so why would I have voted for the TA? And every argument could have been made about why it's horrible for the Senate not to have been able to pass the sick days, and how progressive. At the same time, the progressives actually demonstrated through their vote and their commitment and their articulated disagreements with the Biden administration strategy that Biden was throwing workers under the bus. However, by voting for Biden's strategy, it neutered their ability to do so, did it not?
I mean, to leave, no. So look, if they had done what you said, vote no and then they vote yes, wouldn't their critics be saying, oh, that was just a performative no vote, and they still voted for the sick leave, which then is a fig leaf that covers this thing, that then allows it to get over the Senate, which then and then the Senate takes it out.
Nobody's saying that about.
No, I'm sorry, Rihanna. This is a complete straw man argument that has no basis in reality. If socialists and progressive had voted only for a bill with paid sick leave, who in their right mind, who's on the side of the railroad workers, would be blaming them for this? This is complete nonsense, and it's really just a way to
wait a minute,
away from the reality that nobody in their right mind, Ryan, maybe despite being a political analyst, you thought that the Senate, there was any chance of the Senate voting yes on a paid sick leave bill, but as Rihanna, you were saying, workers in their right mind understood that there was zero chance of this passing in the Senate. So what they did did is what's performative, which is where they gave cover to the Biden administration and to the Republicans to break the strike and to sell out the workers. And yes, Biden did betray, and the betrayal began with the Biden administration. There's no question about that. But it is commentators like yourself who will then, at any moment, whoever among the Democratic Party is in the crossfire of workers, justifiably, then those people are going to be protected. So when the fire was against workers, were angry against AOC and Jayapal, then suddenly AOC starts tweeting, and then you all start defending her by saying, oh well, the unions wanted it. But as I was clarifying before we came, it wasn't union rank and file. I don't know which rank and file you spoke to, but it is just complete nonsense to say that railroad workers who are just struggling for their basic survival were somehow going to be accepting this. The reality is, again, we have to keep in mind that ultimately, when it came down to the vote, it was sort of a very hollow situation. There was no real strategy out for the workers. So we have to keep bringing it back to the more basic question about, what is it really that allows workers to win some victories? It is actually by going on strike and having a fighting strategy. So none of this is going to provide a solution. And we on the left, I'm not talking about people like Ryan. I mean, those of us who genuinely want to defend working people, we have the obligation to call out both elected officials who have betrayed us and also the labor leaders who have betrayed us, and not play this game of deflection and obfuscation when the blame is on AOC, they get to say, oh, it's the labor leaders, and when the blame is on labor leaders, they get to say, oh, it was the Democrats or Biden. They are all together betraying working people. Okay.
That is so correct. There's no reason to be partisan about this because the labor movement that has been slowly dying for decades. It was dying before Reagan started, but Reagan put it on hyperspeed, and Bill Clinton put it on even stronger hyperspeed, and then George W. Bush put it on even stronger hyperspeed, plus Obama, plus Trump, and in spite of a little bit of populist lip service from Biden, honestly, at the end of the day, you look at Biden He's got a dirty history of being there when the corporate Democrats through groups like the DLC were making decisions of, well, let's not rely on the labor movement anymore. Let's start emphasizing on those corporate dollars. So it's not just Republicans. Republicans are largely to blame for the labor movement being shit, but it's not just them. It's not just the corporate Democrats, which they are largely to blame for the labor movement in decline because they were in partnership with the Republicans. But now we have pretend progressives in this movement called the Squad, and because they're fearful of what may happen to them, they're acquiescing to the corporate Democrats, which means that they're also going to be acquiescing to the Mitch McConnells and to the very worst of the Republican Party at the end of the day. And if anybody calls the Squad out on it, we get called right wing for criticizing people who are supposed to represent people like us and supposed to represent the broad labor movement as, calling us right wing for actually trying to build a better left, which is going to be better for everybody except for the 1%, which I don't give a fuck about the 1%. I don't give a fuck about what happened to the Republicans. I don't give a fuck what happens to the corporate Democrats, and I don't really even give a fuck what happens to the dog and pony show, to the display called the Squad or the display called Bernie. I'm not interested in that. What I am interested in is to show that we're ready to fight like hell for what we believe in. And if we have to go down fighting, we give them a message, but we're always noticing that the left, the real progressives, they're supposed to be the real progressives, are always coming in a position of weakness. And I really saw this 2 years ago with Forced to Vote. There was an opportunity to do something. There was an opportunity to do something about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. It was something. There was something you could have done to go and put a stop. To put a stop to corporate Democrats in the House and try to put a stop to your cinemas and your mansions in the Senate that basically took a shit on Build Back Better, which didn't go far enough. But the original Build Back Better was better than what it got pissed down into. And now we have people trying to put cover for AOC for breaking a strike, for Congresswoman AOC to vote to the right of Senator Ted Cruz in the U.S. Senate. Something is fucking wrong. This is why Democrats, they end up fucking things up. Democrat is the easiest thing to do to push for a working class left wing agenda, and it's rejected every time. It's rejected every time, and honestly, if it can't be reformed inside the Democratic Party, and this showed that nothing can be done to reform the Democratic Party. This has shown that nothing can be done to reform the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is another conservative party, and that makes Ryan Grimjob, just as complicit as the mainstream media and his corporate Democrat leadership overlords, as far as I'm concerned. And so, I am glad that Kshama Sawant is she's basically put him in his place, essentially. So anyway, as I said, just this whole thing about AOC, Yeah, she should be kicked out of DSA. If DSA are to have any credibility, I would be for her being kicked out of DSA and every other member of the squad that were complicit in this anti-union vote. Honestly, this is just unacceptable. It's unforgivable. It's totally unforgivable. I don't care what happens to AOCs now. I mean, and she ain't going to be defeated in the 14th congressional district. But if somehow she did, you think I'm going to go and give a flying flip? Absolutely not. Because she's not making a difference. She's not had one bill passed. I mean, she's not done anything. I mean, yeah, she tried to taking credit for unionizing Staten Island's Amazon, and she didn't. And she'll go and make great little speeches, and people will be like, "Oh, AOC, AOC, AOC." For what? For what? The only thing that I would say she has accomplished, and this is a stretch. It's a stretch. She's probably put a little bit of fear into Chuck Schumer, making him a slightly less shitty U.S. senator. Low bar. That's a low bar. Because he's reprehensible too. So yeah, that'll be he's fearful that she would. He's fearful that she's popular enough that it would be a contentious primary if she ever challenges him. It's a waste of time. And I wouldn't even be excited if AOC did that. So there you have it. So anyway, on the chat line, we have Les Bones. How are you doing today, my friend? Willie, I'm actually awake to catch your stream. Yeah, I decided to do a stream. I've been busy stuffing my face and all that during the weekend and all, just breaking away from my diet. And now I got to get back into my routine again, so I don't lose so I don't gain the 46 pounds that I lost since March. So that's I want to keep good things going. I would like to lose another 30 or 35 pounds, and I'll be back with where I was at in the year 2015. So anyway, my Christmas was good. Only thing is that some very important people in my life weren't able to visit, so that's fine. That is fine. Things happen for a reason. So let's see here. I am on the same boat, Willie. I did a lot of eating this weekend. It's the holidays. So yeah, what I did after I was busy yesterday, and I went to Denny's afterwards, and I stuffed my face over there. It was so good, and I went back to Denny's this afternoon or yesterday afternoon and repeated. So and all that, and I just stuffed my face with snacks and all that pretty much all day long. So I said to myself, I better stop, or my pants are going to get tight again, and I'm going to have that belly sticking over the way it used to, and I'm going to have those chubby cheeks return, and I don't want that to happen. So that's what it comes down to. So right now, I'm just, and I got to go back to the gym a little more often too. So anyway, and so right now, I hope that the new year is going to be good for you, Les Bones. I hope it's going to be good for everybody. I have some pretty important guests coming up in the next few weeks. Actually the next 2 months, and right now I'm not at liberty to say who they are, but they're going to be some pretty important people. So I'm excited by this. So y'all just hold tight. And I'm going to have a few people also here that y'all seen before too. So yeah, it'll be good times and all that, and hopefully things will get things will everybody content wise, all the content makers will start to grow, because I'm encouraged with what I've been seeing this past year with all the networking that's been done. I was like, whoa, I like what's going on with everybody involved. So let's see here. Let's see. Thank you, Willie, saying I hope it's a better year. This year was not the best for me. My years are not always the best most of the time. I mean, and not to be negative, but a lot of times they're not. But sometimes I look back and I'm saying, well, it's not that bad. So well, I hope everything picks up for you, Les Bones. So anyway, everybody, if you all like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment if you disagree. We will have a conversation. Feel free to share any content I have on this channel. As the First Amendment absolutist, is my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are the muckrakers of our time. And of course, remember to always reject corporate media, and because they have nothing to offer. So you always try to get a second opinion, get a 20-second opinion, get 44 opinions. You always question whatever information is in front of you, because there's always a narrative and an agenda always involved. So there is that. And until next time, let's see here. I wish everybody a great day. And we have a little more comment here. Just glad for the friends that I have, because I can't do it alone. So, same here. Let's see. Thanks for the stream. Anytime. So everybody, y'all take care. Y'all have a great night. And I wish you all, again, very, very happy holidays and happy new year. Good night.